Hey y'all, welcome back to Naturally Becoming. Now, I'm not trying to get y'all to agree with me, I'm just trying to get y'all to see with me. How y'all like that for a new catchphrase? It's like, I want y'all to see a new perspective, even if you don't agree, or if you do, you're into manifestation or the topic or whatever, that you open your mind to seeing things in a new light. But yeah, I know it's a little cheesy, but I'm trying out having an intro. But anyway, let's get to the video. So I wanted to talk about having crushes and like decentering. Well, for me, I'm into men, so decentering men, but you could put anybody in place of that depending on your preferences. So I realized when it comes to having crushes, a lot of times we'll fixate on a person and overthink and kind of create this fantasy about the person instead of seeing the reality of who they are, or at least a positive idea about the person, instead of, kind of harming ourselves and our chances by thinking we're not good enough or things aren't going to work out for us. Because when it comes to decentering people, for me, I realized I would be more male centered in terms of just overthinking about them a lot, wondering if they're thinking about me, what they're doing, even when they're not around, and it would consume a lot of mental energy, emotional energy as well. And in terms of, sometimes feeling jealous that other people are grabbing their attention. That could be other women or even just basic friends that people have that literally aren't in competition for what I'm wanting, but because I'm just seeing, okay, they're still sharing some type of bond with the person that somehow I'm losing, and you feel threatened by that. So I realized that it's not even just about other people, it's about the lifestyle that the person has, because I realized sometimes I would, like the person because of their status, not really realizing that's how I felt, but just in reflection, it came across my mind the other day that I felt impressed or, enamored by the lifestyle, just in terms of like, if since I'm not really social, if I like somebody who's really charming and, gets along with everybody, and it's deep down inside, it's because I wish I could bring out that aspect in myself so that I could be more social. Or if they have, you know, um, better luck with money right now because they're independent and can do whatever they want and can treat people. I like that because I wish I was independent. I wish that I was capable of just being like, I want to treat everybody when we go out, or even just the ability to go travel and do the stuff that I want because I don't have a family or anything. But it really made me realize that sometimes you don't even like the person for who they are because you don't even know who they are. You just see this idea and a few of their traits come out in your short time of getting to know a person, that you feel like you know them, or you create this vision of who you think they are and who you want them to be for you compared to where you are in your own life. So it made me really reflect on this idea about crushes and how I'll get in this space of, really liking the person, kind of fawning over them in a way that I really don't need to. Like, you can like somebody and be cool and not feel like you need to be anxious or worried or things like that. Like, it shouldn't be something that completely changes who you are when you're around that person. You should feel like you could be calm and be yourself. So I realized that, especially with crushes, sometimes we'll think about them all the time, whether you're dating them or not. It's just a situation, you'll still be fixating. And I realized that's a lot of mental space that you could be clearing out and making yourself productive in other ways. And then when appropriate, you could still think about the person, but it shouldn't be such a fascination to the point where you're forgetting about your own life. So I really wanted to talk about like to how to stop giving over your power, just in terms of being reactive in your emotions and allowing people to occupy your thoughts. Like, it's okay to think good things about it, but at the same time, if you are so heavily dependent on someone in your focus to be happy or to make you feel loved or important, that's really being too dependent on people, and you're never really going to have a sense of stability and security if you're always waiting for someone to validate how you feel. Obviously you want to let people treat you well, but it doesn't mean that you have to be solely dependent on them for your existence. That's when it becomes unhealthy. So what I realize is that if you don't have a active life outside of that person, you might unknowingly put so much weight and attention on them to kind of fill this emotional void. And I'm just saying that because I realized I had been doing that. I feel like I wasn't leveling up in my own life. So subconsciously I was finding people that had a certain level of status to which I wish I could have achieved, but not haven't done it yet, obviously. So I'm kind of almost living through them in a way because I wasn't believing it was possible for me. So that's something I had to understand. Do I like this person for who they are? Do I even know them? And I realized I don't really know much about them, especially when they're not even giving you much of anything to, fawn over or really like. It's just you realize these are just aspects you wish you had in yourself. And I realized that I wasn't enjoying the reality of my own life or being my own dream girl or dream person. So it's like you want to just find somebody that makes you feel special instead of making yourself feel special. So I realized I needed to create more passion and purpose that would keep me excited in my own life instead of fixated on how other people's lives are going for them. So I think that crushing just created this level of adoration and appreciation for other people that I wasn't giving myself because I somehow thought of people as better than me, and kind of distracting myself with the validation of men or other people because I wasn't feeling capable of validating myself. And the way that we put so much power on getting attention from other people when it's our own, belief that their opinions are important instead of just, basing your whole identity off of what somebody says to you and treat you. Because there are times where people, find someone attractive, but that person literally doesn't even know they exist. Think of celebrities and stuff like that. So someone investing their attention in crushing someone and saying that's my man crush or that's my woman crush when they don't even know they exist, and that person is getting attention because, they're leveled up and they're doing, whatever they're doing, that just goes to show you don't have to have awareness of someone's attention on you in order for you to do better in your life. And that was something that really hit me when I realized that, like, I could just be doing my own thing and whoever notices me. But obviously you want to feel noticed by the person that you like, but you have to change your assumptions about yourself first and be able to uplift yourself without doing it for the attention and praise of other people. A lot of times we put lack or scarcity in our minds, like we feel like we're never going to find people or there's not enough good people around. And when you feel that way, you're going to cling on to the little attention that you get, not realizing that clinging is what's pushing that person away. Like, it's not going to work out in the way that you want because you feel like, oh, I'm never going to get this chance again, or when they're gone I'll have nothing and it's going to be hard for me to find somebody again. And that type of mindset is completely limiting you to having fewer and fewer experiences with people when there's literally millions of people on the planet and you're thinking that this one person is your only chance. Like, think of how scarce you're actually thinking. So like I was saying, I had the realization that I was liking people for the not so much who they are, but just the reflections of who I wish I could be, if that makes sense. And what you realize is that you don't have to deal with being exploited or hurt just to have access to those things. You can create it for yourself first and then see if that's qualities you still want in someone that you're dating or you're interested in. And decentering people like men or whoever you like also means that they no longer have the power to reject you because you're not giving them that power. Instead, you can just focus on keeping yourself secure and then be able to find somebody else who's naturally secure and will treat you right without having to ask. And that's what I realized too, is that most people's insecurities come from a fear of rejection. So they're thinking that they're trying to act before something happens or prevent being hurt, but in the process create that same hurt that they were trying to avoid, because you're living and acting from a place of being insecure. And it comes back to making yourself your own validation first, regardless of what anybody thinks or says or does, and just knowing that you are worth whatever treatment, you are deserving of everything that you want without needing a reason. Like, you can have your preferences and your standards, and it doesn't matter if anybody agrees with them or not. It just matters if you attract the people who meet those standards and just don't waver on them. But like I said, I was thinking of how people have this desire for status and achievement, and it really made me aware of, why I was liking the kind of people that I was. And it's like I wasn't even focusing on the treatment, I was letting the bad treatment happen despite, everything else, and making that less important when that should have been the most important thing. So it makes me realize I don't need to feel all giddy and all like out of control whenever it's someone that I like. Instead, I could be clear minded and be myself and really see the person for who they are. And if I don't sit there and try to change people, I accept them for who they are and what they're showing me they can do. And 9 times out of 10, I realized I would have walked away or never dealt with people. But that's just something that's part of the process that you learn. And then going forward, you have to kind of stand your ground. But I realized I was the one hurting myself by investing too much time and attention in other people, and then getting disappointed when they're not investing anything back into me. But it was really me hurting myself, because when you realize it, those people never ask you to put them on a pedestal. Those people you like never ask you to put them at such a high level of adoration to where you lose yourself. Nobody's asking you to do that, but we feel like that's just something that we're supposed to do, because most of us grow up in these societies where we put men at the forefront of the family. So it's natural for whoever's dominant in the partnership to have this certain level of focus and attention, almost to your detriment. Now, I don't have anything against men, and I love them. I love a nice, strong, attractive man. Just that masculine energy is very attractive, and I appreciate having men in society and things like that, like at least the ones who are behaving respectfully and caring and kind and stuff. But I just mean, for my own sake, to navigate healthy relationships, friendships, platonic situations, to feel safe with men or just people in general, I realize I have to bring them down. Not bring them down, I would just say more like I have to bring myself up, because I would see myself as less than instead of equals, just emotionally, mentally, in terms of having to prove myself to be good enough and worthy of being treated like a human being or being treated kindly. So it's more of me just getting tired of hurting myself and feeling bad every time I had a crush. And I realized that was my assumption, that sometimes people I like don't like me. And then I always get unsolicited attention from people that I'm not even interested in, to the point where it creeps me out. And I'm just like, okay, well, how is this going to work? I have to keep settling for people that don't fully want to give me attention, love, and respect, just to get some little something other over having nothing. And I got tired of having to compromise, and that was just a assumption I had to let go of. So it's just about stop setting such a low bar for having a crush. Like, anybody that's nice to you or giving you attention or literally just being attractive, and you give them so much devotion and focus because they just exist and they look good. Like, we got to do better than that. But you have to know what you want from a person, if it's a relationship or just a fling, and then that will depend on what you're trying to experience with that person, then you could say, okay, well, being attractive is good enough just to mess around. But for a relationship, I want more substance. But we can't just let somebody say a few nice sentences and then start catching feelings and they're really not doing anything for you. So we don't need to be thinking about them 24/7, but we need to make sure that we're at the center of our own lives before we bring somebody else in. So basically, those are the things I was thinking about in terms of, the psychology of having a crush, like our mindset, how we carry ourselves, what we think, what we believe, what we feel to be true, and our assumptions about how to deal with people, because we give people such a role of importance for our lives instead of putting ourselves at the center of who we are and, what we think. Like, other people are supposed to compliment us, not become the whole big picture, so much to the point that we forget who we are. So this is kind of why I wanted to talk about decentering people and how that helped my self-image and self-concept, because I realized who I thought I was heavily based on the type of treatment I was getting from people. So I was thinking that I wasn't worthy, wasn't good enough, because if guys weren't giving a certain kind of attention, and then I would perceive that they're giving other people more attention or they like other people better. And it's really because I had so much time on my hands and because I lacked enough social connections with people to feel like I was valued and important. Sorry about the noise, y'all. It's just so annoying to record. Every second is some type of interruption, so I'm not even gonna edit it out. But yeah, I would just feel like other people in a way had better lives than me. So it's like, why would they even like me? Because I'm just a homebody, isolated, no friends, nothing going on, feeling like I'm not good enough. And even though people didn't even know that was going on in my life, they would still kind of feel the energy of me being a loner and kind of pushing away and not feeling social enough to open up. And I just realized I don't want to be that person anymore. So it really made me change my image so I don't feel awkward or nervous around people. Or even if I feel like, when you like somebody, how they make you feel, sometimes I realized that it was just a lack of connection with people. So it didn't necessarily have to mean a romantic thing, but it was just confusing for me, because once I decided, okay, I don't need to feel that way when I have a crush, I could still talk to them like a normal human being without feeling nervous and afraid. I just realized, well, now how do I deal with the emotions and the feelings in my body, because this could just be a good friendship and I'm still feeling, that crush feeling. So I think I need to work on that and just regulating my body and my emotions, because I think having a lack of a community for so long, when you find somebody that you feel you can really relate to, it can confuse you. Because I think when you're so isolated, or when you feel like you don't have much of a connection with people, and then you find someone that you do like, sometimes you get overly excited and you might be trying to put them in a category that it might not suit them, or they do, but you need to give it time instead of jumping right into the fantasy and rushing things. Sometimes it's best to just build friendships and then let that develop into something. But I feel like you'll know what's best for you once you regulate yourself, feel comfortable and confident in a self concept that allows you to feel normalized, in the sense that it's natural for you to have people that like you back, that treat you well, and, go above and beyond. But you have to see yourself as that identity first before those manifestations and interactions will happen. So it's just about managing your expectations of people and what you actually think you're worth and deserve. And not even to say that you need to be deserving in order to get something, but you need to know that you already are. It's not about earning something or changing yourself to show that you're deserving. It's about accepting that as a natural part of your identity, the same way that you just breathe air and your body pumps blood without you thinking about it. Yeah, you were born deserving of love, and you are love, a manifestation of love, a physical manifestation of love. So it's just kind of owning that and practicing focusing that energy towards yourself, because we tend to withdraw from ourselves and almost use that as a form of punishment. Like, okay, well, nobody loves me, so I'm not even going to try this, or I can't really date people, or I'm going to give up and have a negative assumption that all men are this, all women are this because of this one experience that I had. I'm going to overgeneralize and put everybody down. And society has a habit of doing that. So you kind of have to block out society and their expectations of what dating looks like and create your own expectation. It might seem unrealistic at first, especially compared to what you've been experiencing, but once you normalize it in your mind and tell that story to the point where you don't feel awkward or discomfort about it, that's when you know that it's going to be something that's going to be present in your life, and it'll be reflected without you having to do anything. Like, you won't have to chase it or look for it. It's going to come right to you effortlessly. So I just wanted to wrap up with some assumptions about like your self-esteem and self-concept. So the other thing I could just say is just in terms of self-esteem, that improved for me once I realized nobody outside of me has to have an effect on my self-esteem. Like, my self-esteem is literally my choice. So I may have been living as this shy person who felt uncomfortable in situations, being given attention and stuff like that, even though I thought I craved it. But that validation for my self-esteem no longer comes from outside of me. It's just a knowing that I have, that I validate myself, which is why I use manifestation and affirmations and just telling myself a story of my inner confidence and how natural it is to me. Like, me telling myself my self-esteem is like top tier is the only validation that I need. And I don't need other people to believe it. I don't need other people to say things or do things to make me feel that way. I'm learning that my word is powerful enough. And I think that was the main thing. I wasn't trusting myself because I felt like we weren't taught to believe in ourselves. We weren't taught that I could just be like, I'm confident, I'm beautiful, and just know it and accept it. Like, I had so much resistance trying to improve my self-esteem because everything outside of us is showing us, okay, well, you might believe something, but this is the reality of it. People make you seem like you're crazy or you're just living in your imagination because you want to think positive and believe in yourself. And it's sad how normalized it is for us to basically have self-hatred. Like, you have people out there who get mad at people for having confidence, no matter their appearance, no matter their body shape, their size. They'll feel like you don't have the right or you don't deserve to feel confident because you're too big, you're too small, you're too dark, you're too light. People have all these what's the word? People have all these criteria that they feel like you have to meet before you can be confident and have self-esteem and love yourself. And the truth of that is it's wrong. I mean, obviously, if it's their belief system and people think that to be true, they're going to create evidence and see it. But it's wrong in the sense that for me, I just don't agree with that anymore. Because if I continue to keep living like that and believing everything that society tells me, I was literally heading down a path of self-destruction, depression, fear, anxiety. And that's just not something that I want to believe in my reality. I want to believe in a world of love. And I know that other things can exist within that world. But just in my own personal life, I need to believe in something positive in order for me to succeed and, have improved relationships and appreciate people more and experience more loving nature of how people can be, because I know I deserve it and because I know I'm worth it. That's just a choice that I'm going to have to be willing to make no matter what other people are experiencing in their lives. And I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is sticking to your own beliefs while coexisting with other people who don't share the same beliefs. You can't let them sway your sense of self and tell you what to believe in and what you're possible of experiencing when it comes to love or liking people. We should be able to be so secure in ourselves that none of that causes us to waver, which is exactly why I say your self-image and self-concept is completely dependent on what you say it is. So I think I talked about a lot here, and I don't want to sound like I'm rambling because I feel like I probably repeated myself, but I think this was a good place to end the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it made you think. I hope you heard something that you needed to hear. And I hope you guys will share it with at least one other person who you think needs to hear this. And I will see you guys in the next video.